Jessica, we have, hello. Matt, we have, Vico, we have, and Celia. Are you here? Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. Thank you for waving. Okay, and we have Adam Forrester, who is our trainer today, our teacher, our professor for teaching you to get started in Premiere. And he's going to have you for the first, I think, 90 minutes of class. I can't remember if it's 90 minutes or 2 hours. I think it's 90. And we also have Alex here. And Alex, we are recording, so there'll be a copy of this for other folks to review. Let me see. Oh, I wanted to just say really quick before I hand it over to Adam that, so look at Premiere. No one on earth knows how to do everything in the Adobe Creative Cloud. Like I promise you that no one on earth knows how to do everything. And the reason I know that is because Adobe has reps at where if there's a big enough editing house, they have a rep from Adobe. And even you could contact Adobe and be like, hey, there's a button that I really need that isn't working. I can't get, it would be very helpful to have this button in. And it's entirely possible that they'll make a button for you. And then, you know how, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but Premiere, like there's a new update pretty much every week. You're like, why the hell is there a new update? It's because someone in the newsroom at Fox was like, I need this new functionality or this thing's crashing, and they fix it. So it like literally the cloud is changing constantly to provide users with the things that they need. Adam's laughing because sometimes you're like, where is my button? And it's gone. And there's no one to explain to you why it's gone, you know? So it's, in any case, it's the Adobe Creative Cloud. It's like going swimming in a lake where you can't see the bottom. And that can be an awesome experience. And some of the best experiences in my life were swimming in lakes like that. But it may be scary, and you just enter and you figure out the things that you need. The best way to learn it is to have a project that you like and then be working on that. And you'll be like, I don't know how to do this. I'll ask someone for help. I don't know how to do that. I'll ask someone for help. That's the way that you learn it. And all anyone on earth does is learn the things they need, because they're not gonna, you won't learn everything. So I want you guys to chill out and relax, and you know, whatever you get from Adam today is great. And just know that this is the beginning of you know, your adventure in the lake with the invisible bottom that is Adobe Creative Cloud. Okay, so just relax. Ed, I'm going to mark you present, and I'll see you guys in about 90 minutes or so. Okay.
Hey, Rob, just real quick, I just want to make sure that I'm able to share screen. So I'm just going to test.
Oh my gosh,
okay.
I need to make you a co-host to do that. Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, I wonder if I can make everyone co-hosts, because I want you to be able to access other people's screens.
I see.
Advanced sharing options. Who can share? All participants. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? Only the host. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? Yeah, why don't we make that only the, or should I make it, none of these people are going to Zoom bomb you, unfortunately. I'm going to make it all participants in case you can't do it as a co-host.
Sounds good.
Okay. And why aren't you listed as a co-host now? Make co-host.
It does say I can share screen now, so that's good.
Okay, so Adam can now, I believe he can also take over your Premiere if it's up on your screen. It's sort of slow and clunky, but if you get into trouble, he has the capability to do that. And ask questions. And there's Alex is from the Media Lab in the library, and they have people there that will help you. You can actually contact them and they'll help you online, or you can, if you're in Atlanta, you can come in and they'll help you. So just know you have access to them as a resource to help you through all of this, okay? I will shut up now. I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm excited for you beginning this journey with Adam.
Thank you. Okay, so welcome all. Looks like I have all the capabilities here that I need. So first off, I think what we'll do, and I know you all are downloading the project file, and we will look at that together. It's really helpful to have that as a finished piece for, it sounds like that's kind of in line with the assignment that you've got. But what I want you to do first is go into your Finder, and I will share my screen here as well. Let's see. So you probably have downloaded something that looks like this. And what I want to do just for the purpose of this workshop today is have you select the Lobster soundtrack, make this a little bigger, and all of these clips here. And so you're going C0020 all the way to C0031. The rest of this stuff will make sense and apply later as we get further down in the workshop. But what I want you to do is just right click in here and just create a new folder with these items. And I want you to label that folder media. And me, I have a naming convention where I like to actually number my folders. So I'm going to say 01_ media. And just, as you move forward in your filmmaking career, what you'll find, everything's digital now. Creating some kind of, file naming convention for yourself is going to be really helpful. And starting that early on is really helpful as well. So inside this media folder, and stop me at any point if you're not following along or don't understand what we're doing. I'm going to, I see a chat here. Oh, thanks, Alex. So I'm going to go ahead and create 2 new folders in here. I'm going to label it audio and video, and I'm going to drop the video into the video. This soundtrack I'm going to drop into audio, and this just helps me separate and create. Let's see. So, okay, gotcha. Thank you, Rob. We'll work with the background sound. All right. So now what I want you to do is go ahead and open Premiere. I'm going to stop share just so I can do that, but you should be able, let me know, I see a hand, Ed, yeah.
So my Premiere, like the reason I had to use iMovie for last assignment is my Premiere won't even open, and I have it, but it just says there's been like some disruption. Should I just come to Emory for that?
Sounds like it. And it won't work with your Emory credentials. You're not trying like a Google.
Well, I own my own, like all the Adobe on my own.
Okay.
But I never downloaded it because I usually just use like Lightroom and stuff. But when I downloaded it and it's like a corrupt file, or I don't really know, it just won't open.
You might want to try deinstalling it if that's an option, and then reinstalling it. But that may be something that someone at the Media Lab could help you with at the library. Sorry about that. Vico, sorry, I see your hand.
Yeah, I have a question. So I wasn't following immediately after that. For the audio, are we just putting the audio extracted in the Lobster into that folder? Or are there any?
Yes, and that's, we're going to open Premiere, and then I'm going to show you how to bring all that media into Premiere. And the reason I did audio and video, I'll show you in just a minute. It creates separate bins in Premiere. So it's just kind of it's a personal preference thing that I like to do, but just kind of sharing what makes things more organized for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So go ahead and open Premiere if you can. Ed, I know you're not able to, but maybe try and follow along if you can. Or you could try deinstalling it and reinstalling it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Working. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so I've got my Premiere open, and I am going to go ahead and share screen. let me. It's not letting me share yet, so hit new project if you're on that window for new project. And for now, I'm gonna title this new project just test. And I'm gonna place it, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm gonna place it on the desktop, but you would wanna place it with your media, you know, on your external hard drive if you were doing that. Or I like to actually keep project files on Dropbox so I can access the project files on different computers and have the video on external drives with me. So I'm going to place this on the desktop, calling it a test, and then let's see if it will let me. Here we go. Okay. So everyone should be at this screen now, which is basically the workspace of Premiere. If you're not, I can't see your hand, but just unmute yourself and ask, and I can help you. Everybody here? Okay, I see a few thumbs up, so good. Okay, now I can see everyone. It's a little smaller. Sorry, it's just a little funky doing this on Zoom, but we'll get it worked out. All right, so you should have something that looks like this, and Premiere is very self-explanatory at this stage. It's not so self-explanatory later, but we can double click here. It says import media to start. It says drop media here to create sequence. And these two monitors, I'll explain what these are. But what I'm gonna do right now is double click in this import media to start. And you may not be able to see this, but the Finder window comes up. And you should be able to navigate to that location where we saved those media files. Do you see this? Do you see this Finder window? Oh, you do. Okay, good. And so you can see there's my audio and video files. And so what I'm going to do is shift and select, and I'm going to select both of those. And I'm just going to hit import. And you should get this little window. It's kind of working in the background. Give that some time. Okay, and so this is what I was talking about. It actually, Premiere's nice because it actually brings in those folders. If you already have sort of a labeling system, it'll bring in those folders for you. Rather than just sort of dumping all of your media into one bin, I would highly recommend even organizing it in your on your hard drive first and then bringing it in this way. And at least this way you've got video, audio, and what I would do is also create, if I right click, I'll create a new bin called sequences. Because as you work, you'll want to save drafts, you'll want to save versions of those sequences. And so it would be nice to just have a folder for the sequences. So there are a couple of ways we can start in the timeline here, and we can create our first sequence. One way is you could drag and drop a piece of video over here. So go ahead and do that. And you'll see what happened is the Premiere automatically created a sequence. And if you look, and if you don't have this view, if your view looks more like this or more like this, you can change the view. I prefer the list view. Some people like the icon view. It's totally personal preference. But if you want to see it in this way for the workshop, you can do this view here. And it's labeled it as C0020, which is the name of the file, but that's not what I don't want my sequence to be named that. So I'm going to name this test workshop. And I'm actually, since it's a sequence, and you can tell by that little icon there, and you can tell that this is a video clip with audio linked to it. Sometimes you'll have video clips with no audio. Sometimes you'll have, in this case up here, just audio clips. So these little icons can tell you what kind of media you're working with. So I'm gonna drag this into the sequences bin, and there it is. And then I can hide it so it's out of my way. Okay, another way to bring media into your sequence is to double click the media itself, and it brings the media up in this window. So the differences between these two windows, and I just want to make sure if you're not at these two windows, you can click this up here. There's learning, there's assembly, there's editing. But if you're in editing and color, that's the workspace layout that looks like this. Just everybody's still good. Everybody's still with me. Good. So I've got my what's called my source window, and I've got my program monitor. So the source window is going to show you the raw footage. It's going to show you your source, basically. Over here, it's going to show you what happens in the timeline in the sequence here. So this will make sense in just a moment. So let's say we're going to take this clip, and rather than, as we did before, dragging and dropping the whole clip, and you can tell it's the whole clip because you've got these tiny little triangles here at the beginning and the end. So you can tell that's the entire amount of media. But you know, this is what is this, 29, almost 30 seconds of media. We don't want our first clip to be 30 seconds long, so we're going to have to edit it. And you could do that by dragging the beginning and end of the clip like this, making it the length that you want. But for the first clip, I actually would prefer if I double click here, open this in my source monitor, and I can begin to see, if I hit play here. Oh, it may be running a little slow because it's going over. I'm going to turn this down to a quarter. Okay, so there we go. So we've got this much amount of space where, you know, the camera's rolling and we're just waiting on the action to happen. And then the person walks into frame and then continues in the frame. So what we need to do is decide what are our end points, like IN, the letter N, coming in a doorway or coming into the station. And what are our out points, like leaving the station or leaving the building. And by doing that, I'm going to drag this playhead and this little blue, you know, thingy here is called a playhead. But you'll notice there's also a playhead here, and these have nothing to do with one another. These are independent of each other. However, when we get to talking about this, you'll notice that those are linked. So that'll make sense in a moment. But I'm going to choose to start with the person outside the frame. And I'm going to say, I'm going to hit the letter I for in. Like that is my endpoint. And it creates this mark on this piece of footage. And you'll notice, and it's at that particular playhead position, that particular time code, 36 minutes, 32 seconds at 2 frames. So you can get as precise as frames when you're choosing these. You may not want to do that initially, and you may want to fine tune it as you get later in the project. But if I drag the playhead or I hit the space bar, I think I'll decide. It's running a little slow here, but I'll decide. I think I want to cut it there, just when the person is all the way in the frame, when her feet are fully in the frame here. And so I'm going to hit O for out. This is all, again, as you move through your program, this is all preference thing. So it could be any moment, and it's up to you as an editor. So now I'm going to click and drag. So you see that highlighted area got shorter. So I'm going to click and drag this down onto my timeline. And you'll notice also that if I click here and move this, I'm going to zoom in on my timeline by hitting plus and minus. That's how you can zoom in. So you notice now I've got this red mark here that it indicates that it knows that this video piece is supposed to be synced with this audio piece. But now that I move them, they're out of sync, and they're out of sync by 12 seconds and 9 frames. It tells you all of that, which is a good warning. So I'm going to hit Command Z, undo, and I can either select all of these and move them together, or the other thing is turn on my linked selection. And that may have been turned on by default. I think the default is that it's on. And so here, now I can just grab one and both of them are highlighted. And so it's video that's synced with audio. So I would prefer to have them linked. I don't want them to be, I don't want to be moving them around independent of each other at this point. So I'm going to bring this up to the beginning. And I think in the project file, which we'll look at a little later, I think there's a crossfade at the beginning. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to bring the cursor down to the beginning, and I've got 2 red marks there. I'll show you the long way to do this first. You can add video transitions. You can go to dissolve, you can go to cross dissolve, and then you can drag it here and drop it, and it's a little too long. But what I want to do, a shortcut, is highlighting both of them and then hitting the key command Shift D. And these key commands, they are found online, but you may want to write them down too. Key commands as you move through the program is actually, they're really useful. So I'm going to hit Shift, hold that down, and hit D. And now I've got a cross dissolve. And you'll also notice that the cross dissolve affects my audio. And so generally speaking, this is not always the case, but generally speaking, your first clip, you do sort of want to fade up from a blank background, rather than just having a hard cut. But again, these are all personal preference. That's just kind of convention. So I can shorten this a little bit if I want, shorten this a little bit. All right, so we've got this first clip, establishing shot, right? And then it's a little over 5 seconds. And then if I zoom out and I go back to my project bin, and thankfully it looks like this was filmed in sequential order, more or less. So now we've got this shot, and can work with it here. Okay, so then now the actor is moving. So I'm going to start right there. Maybe that's my endpoint. There we go. And maybe somewhere right there that's the out point. So I'm going to hit O for out. And then I'm going to click inside here and drag this down. And you'll notice that now there's a gap. So, well, it's 1/8. Did you see the gap? It's, it just blinks black for just a second. So we want to obviously close this. So there's a couple of different ways we could do that. Generally speaking, I keep what's called snaps on, and that allows me to, you see how it kind of magnetically pulls to that end of the clip. And so it knows, generally speaking, you're going to want these clips to, brush up against each other. So there we go. Now we've got a cut. You may want to do this differently, and when we look at the project, it may be done differently. But that's how you would make that. That's how you would make that cut, and then move here. All right. Let's see. Characters waiting. This one. So that's take 2 there. Really going slow. Let's see, I've got a chat here. Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Ed. All right, so I'm going to choose as this as an endpoint. I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute. This is really slow here. Everybody okay? Raise your hand if you need. All good. Thank you. I'm going to try to optimize. Let's see. Sound. Optimize for video. Let's try that. Can you hear the sound? Oh, you can. Okay, good. I'm actually going to cut it. It's a little hard. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right here. Drag this down. And then I think there's a close-up. Here we go. There's a close-up where the character comes in from camera right. This is take 2. And what we'll try to do is match those movements. It's going to be hard over Zoom. It seems like it's getting a lot of lag. Yes. Good. Okay. There. That feels like a natural cut point too. After the person just like comes to a rest. So then I'm going to drag this down here. And again, you can also drag clips over, right? But you see how that could get cumbersome and can kind of get in the way. If you drag the entire clip over, it really takes up a lot of space on your timeline. But you could, now you would be working with this monitor because the clip that you're editing is you're seeing it here in this monitor rather than here. So if we cut after the person, after she sits down, and I'm going to right click here and do ripple delete, and that brings that there. It's moving pretty slow for all of you, right? What you're seeing, it's not. All right, let's zoom out and see what we have here. We have 24 seconds. Try one more thing. I'm going to stop share for a second. moment here. I'm gonna restart Premiere. Are you all able to do this along, or are you just kind of taking notes as we're moving? Doing it along? Okay, great. Try to share screen again. See if this runs any faster. If it doesn't, we'll just have to kind of deal with it. Slightly faster. Okay. I've got my sheet here. Okay. So we've got our first little sequence here. And that's final clip, kind of a cutaway here. We could have this, drop this down here. And I'm going to show you how to use some of the tools in the tool bin here. So number of different tools over here to the left. There's also keyboard shortcuts for each one. So you see there's a razor tool icon here, which obviously is just for cutting, slicing the footage. You can also see, if you hover over a lot of things in Premiere, you can see the keyboard shortcut, which in this case is C. If I hover, you can see in parentheses, it says the letter C. So I'm going to come over here and hit the letter C, and you see my cursor turned into a razor. And because these objects are linked, it's actually going to, you see that there's a white box around the video track and the audio track file here. So if I cut, it's actually going to cut both of those. Okay, I'm going to hit V again and get back to my cursor. If, for example, my link settings were off and I had highlighted this and then I hit C for cut and I go into cut, do you notice, and we'll zoom in a little bit, do you notice it just cut the video clip, right? So these are all those little quirky things about the program that you're gonna have to become familiar with and know that, like, if I want to cut video and audio, they either need to be linked, or another way you can do that is if they're not linked. You see how this, again, if I hit C here, just cutting video, but if I hit C and then I hold Shift, you see how there's a line? That will cut everything on that line in the entire project. And so in that case, it cut the audio and video, but if there had been another audio piece underneath that, it would have cut that as well. So let's do that. Let's bring this other audio piece in, just so we can see what we're working with. Zoom out. And I'm going to hit V, drag this back over. And in this case, I'm going to also crossfade the audio up. That's it. Are you all able to hear that? No? Okay. Now, can you hear it? No? Okay, let me try one more thing. Audio. Here's Zoom audio. Okay, good. Okay. Good. So I am going to turn it down while we're working through this, but that'll be important at some point. Okay. So let's zoom back into this clip here. All right. And for now, I'm just going to mute the audio, the music track. And at this point, I'll make a little adjustment here and then ripple delete this. There we go. We've made just a quick little sequence of clips here. It's not the best ideal scenario because I'm gonna unmute this because there's a lot of lag, so you can't really see the timing of the edits as well in this scenario. But let's watch it real quick. And so again, this is your source monitor. You're working with all the raw footage over here on the left, and then your program monitor. Anytime you activate your sequence, this is sort of like if you were editing and you had a monitor off to the side. This is what the preview would be. This is what the client would see. This is what the finished product would look like. This is all your sort of raw sculptural pieces here. So let's watch this. This is 30 seconds.
Yeah, action.
All right, so what we can tell is there's a lot of audio issues that we need to deal with, right? You heard action. I think there was I hate you in there. The door, we could work with the door sound. Maybe we could bring that down. So I'm going to show you how to do those things. And I apologize, but I know it doesn't look like the video it's not giving you much indication of how we've cut this. And that may just, I'm at home, this is my personal computer, so maybe my personal computer just isn't fast enough as well. So, let's go ahead and make these tracks a little bigger. And by doing that, you can hover over this little line here. And now you can see the waveforms of the audio tracks. And you also see that a line has appeared in the middle of these audio tracks. And you can drag that up and down, and that deals with the decibel level or volume level of the track. You can also use keyframes to adjust that over time so that it changes at different levels for different reasons. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do, I like to do this, is move the audio track to one more below. I'm going to make it bigger so I can see it. And I'm also going to just lock the audio track, because there's a number of reasons I want to do that. I just don't want to move it. But what that means is if I click in here, I can't accidentally change anything. And as I was pointing out before, if I do C for cut and I hit shift and I make a cut here, it cuts everything on the project that's in line with that, but it will not cut locked tracks. So that's kind of useful. If it's unlocked and I hit shift cut, you see I made a cut and I don't want to cut there. So undo that cut as well. Okay. Now let's zoom in to our audio tracks, and we're gonna, you've probably talked about the notion of room tone. But there's an abrupt cut from the outside sort of tone, the sound of the outside, and the room tone of the inside. Now we move in and out over this cut, but and again, this would be personal preference, but what I'm going to do here is crossfade these two audio tracks. I'm not going to crossfade the clips. I'm going to crossfade the two audio tracks. There's a number of ways you could also make what's called a J cut. I'll show you that. We zoom in here. So what this does is merge and blend these clips so that it's not as abrupt, and you should be able to hear that. So did you catch that? It's a lot less abrupt, and in this case, I think it works. You could also do, I'll show you this, just for example's sake. You could do what's called I think it's called a J cut, and that's because the shape of the cut has sort of a J-like appearance, I guess. And that means that the video clip is cut in a different, at a different time frame than the audio. And so sometimes, in this case, you're sort of leading the audience to know that once this cut happens and you hear the inside, but we're still outside, you know that something is about to change. So sometimes maybe it doesn't feel as abrupt. Let me give you a little more context here. So, yes, Matt.
How do you select the sound without selecting the video?
Oh, good question. So that would be, we have to make sure that our link selection is turned off. So, and at this point, after we've moved them around where they were linked together, I generally work with it off and just try to, if I need both, I just draw a window around both. But it's, again, up to you, but that's how you should be able to select just one piece rather than the other. Did that work?
Yep, thank you.
Gotcha, yeah. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of why you would want to do this kind of edit rather than how we had it before, which was just a straight cut here and here. It just feels much more subtle. And as you're watching movies, and I know, I always watch movies now, and sometimes I can't get all the pleasure from watching a movie because I'm thinking about the technique behind it. But as you watch movies, you'll notice that this happens a lot too, where the sound cuts in maybe sooner than the visual to give you a sense of where we're going. Okay, so either one of those would be great options there. And then let's work with this door. So. And for the purposes of working with this, I'm going to mute this track right now, just so it doesn't interfere with what we're trying to do on the audio track here. Okay. There's also, I think there's a person talking in the background, so we kind of have to deal with that as well in some way. But one way that you could do this, and you can see the sound of the door, this is it right here, this waveform. So I'm going to, if I make this track large enough, this pops up, which is, again, a lot of things in Premiere are just these tiny little buttons that are like tiny, they're just shaped like a triangle or a tiny little diamond. That's what this is. And it's just one of those things that it's frustrating, but once you know it, you're able to use it. But again, if you don't know what something is in Premiere, there's always obviously the help up here, and you can search. The search is very helpful. There's also tutorials online, but I also find that if you hover over something without clicking it, generally it will tell you what this is for. So solo track, mute track, toggles, sync lock, go to previous keyframe, add remove key, so it is helpful if you kind of know, you have a sense of what you want or what you think this might be. If you hover over it before pressing it, it might tell you how to do that or what that's for. So this is, if you hover over this, it says add remove keyframe, but it's grayed out, right? So if I click it, which, there we go. You can also enlarge or make the track smaller by double clicking, which is what I did. But if I click this, it doesn't work. That's because the piece of audio that I want to add a keyframe into has to be highlighted. And so you'll notice now I've clicked in there, my playhead is there, it's highlighted. Now this is ready. I can use this, and it's going to add a keyframe right here, right where the playhead is. So if you watch right here, and then I will add here, and then it makes a playhead appear. You also notice that this FX got highlighted. That means that the clip has now been modified. So if you see up here, this is gray, this is gray. This is just a raw clip. It's not been edited in any way. There are no effects on it. That's what the FX stands for. This is telling me, the editor, that just so you know, before you change something or before you move something around, this has effects on it. You want to be sure to either pay attention to those or move those or copy those if you want a clip to sound the same. Or let's say when we get to color, we color correct this clip and we want this clip, we can copy those effects, move them over. So that's just another little component of Premiere. So if I hit the space bar, or I can drag the playhead a little more, and I'm gonna make sure that's highlighted, add a keyframe there, and then I'm gonna go around this waveform and add a keyframe here and add a keyframe here. And what you'll notice now, I'm able to drag this down, and it looks sort of like a trapezoid shape, but this is a gradual change. And then this is this stagnant. So this is the same level of decibels. And then this just changes over time to return it back to what it was. And when we listen to it, you'll notice that you can probably still hear it, or maybe it's loud. And you also want to kind of watch the waveforms over here too. That's giving you an indication of how to adjust audio. So I think the volume of the door is great, but then if you notice, you can kind of hear the room tone just completely disappear as well. Everybody hear that? I can give you another. So it's really obvious that we've cut out that door sound. And so in this case, what you would want to do is bring in some room tone. We've got that here. Let's see, this is CO21. So what I'm actually going to do is open a raw clip from over here, and I'm actually going to go to the audio. I'm gonna pull this audio down, and then I'm gonna open it back. Okay, there we go. So I opened this clip back, and I'll show you how I did that again in case you missed it. So I opened this clip in the source monitor. And I just drag, remember if we drag from here, we get video, audio. If we drag from here or here, so this is drag video only, drag audio only. I want to get my room tone from this clip. So I'm gonna drag just the audio down, and then I'm gonna double click it again and open it in this source monitor here. And so what you can see is there are moments, this is the door, this is probably the calling out of action, there's dialogue here, but there's moments here where I might want to pull room tone, and I might want to pull it long enough to cover up the way we've cut out the door. And so what I can do is hover over this middle piece, and you see that this part that's lighter, that's the part that is this clip. But if you watch this clip down here, and as I drag, the palm opens up like this, as I'm holding it over this highlighted area, if I click and drag and the palm closes, I can move this section. And if you watch the clip that's in the timeline down below, once I drop this, the waveforms are going to change, and it's going to match. Did you see that? So now it matches this. And so it's a really great tool, especially if this were inserted, if you can imagine, between other clips, but you wanted to adjust the in and out point. You could do that by simply rolling this around, and you can make adjustments to that. So just an extra insight while we're doing this. So I'm going to try this clip and see. I'm going to play it up here too and see. So obviously I don't want the laughter, but let's see if I get this here, if that may be enough. So I'm going to click and drag it, and I'm going to add it to this track underneath. And you've all maybe used Photoshop or some other similar type programs, but if you're using layering in Photoshop, whatever's on top is going to be what you see first in terms of visuals. So that works the same with video. So if we were to make a copy of this and stack it above, you would only see this top clip. With audio, because it's audible sound, you're going to hear all this at the same time. So it works a little bit differently. So you have to think about it a little bit differently. So I'm going to highlight the clip, and I'm actually going to fade the beginning and end in. And what I'm trying to do is just kind of cover up the fact that it drops out, that the room tone drops out, but I still want to hear the door, but I don't want the door to be so loud. So that's what we're going for here. So let's see if we achieve that. Pretty good. What I may do, zoom in a little bit more. Give us a little more here, more here, and then make this fade a little longer. That seems better to me. It sounds smoother. I don't know if you could hear the difference between those two. Okay. Any questions so far? Very good. Okay, so got this. I think there was an action here.
Yeah, action.
Okay, so let's do this. And so I'm actually this is a great example where I just want the room tone, but I don't want, you can see the waveform right here where the action is called. But if we move this over, you can see that we're right outside of that call and we're right before whatever this peak is. I don't know what that sound is, but we've managed to make just sort of a smooth room tone here. Okay, and then you can hear that last moment, there's a line of dialogue that we don't want. Did you hear it? It's subtle, the I hate you. Right, so I'm gonna mute this too. And what I'm gonna do is copy this piece. This is the room where it takes place. And make this a little larger.
I hate you.
So that's what we want to cut out. And what I'm doing now is listening at the beginning of this clip and seeing if there's enough of just sort of room tone at the beginning of this clip where I might be able just to slide this selection over like this. Okay, so we got the piece of dialogue out that we didn't want in there. So let's talk about adding text, and then I'm gonna fade this out. We'll unmute it. So let's add some text here. Actually, let's make this longer. Let's make this longer. Have our fade out be long. Long here. And we'll also make this fade be longer. And I'm going to hit T, the letter T for text. And I'm just going to type, this is the end. And go to effects actually. And, oh, sorry, graphics. Waiting for the zoom. Okay, so here's my text, and I can change the font style. Go. I can change the color. Change the size. Center. Let's make it even bigger. Create a drop shadow if I want. Don't have to. There we go. I like that one. And this is a preference thing again. I like to take the selection tool in this program monitor and make my text box, just kind of tighten it up around the text. And that way, when I click horizontal center, I know that it's centered. You can of course move it and drag it around in whatever way you want, put it in any part you want. I would recommend if you do that, this is kind of a legacy thing, but if you have what's called safe margins, generally speaking, I don't know if any of you ever watched TV on a curved television screen, but you wouldn't put text right here because you wouldn't be able to see it. It's also really close to the edge, to the border, but that's what this is for, this safe margins. And so I always just try to keep the text at least that far into the picture so that you know that it's not going to be falling off. But for this case, I'm just going to center it. And let's go back to editing. Let's have this fade even longer, and then I'm going to fade out this text. I think what I'm going to do, just good measure, is have this come on after. I don't like it coming up with that shot, so we'll just do this. Oh, maybe we should cut it out before the change there. Okay, I think that's good enough. So at this point, you would want to, of course, I always recommend trying to save as much as you can, because sometimes Premiere crashes and you lose part of your work, which is not good. So try to get in the habit of saving as much as you can. And now at this point, I'll show you how to export. So whatever you've done here, there's a number of ways you can do it. If you're like me, and sometimes you tend to work where you have stray footage at the end of this timeline that you're maybe sort of cutting up and putting in, building a sequence down here and then moving that into your sequence. It's whatever works for you, but that's how I work sometimes. And so inadvertently, sometimes I will have stray clips at the end of the timeline. And if I go to File, Export, you're able to see this, yes? Yeah, okay, Media. And the default here is either sequence in and out or entire sequence. And you'll notice that the clip that we were working on, I'm going to cancel this. What we want, it ends, you see this time code here, it ends at around 30 seconds. So we don't want all this, but if you're working on this clip and those other clips are way down there and you can't see them, you may not know that they're there, and you may go up here, File, Export, Media, and you may not recognize it. But I would always just scan through what you're exporting just to make sure. But there's going to be like a minute of black, and then there's going to be those stray clips at the end. And that's going to be one long video clip, and you're going to turn it in and be like, why is there black at the end of my video? What's going on? So just be mindful of that. Another way that you can really avoid that happening is when you export, just as when we were bringing clips in, and I was mentioning the I for in and O for out, you can do that here. So I would hit O for out, and then I would go File, Export Media, and you see how the sequence got shorter, and you can also see that the total length of time is more in line with what the clip that we wanted, which is 32 seconds. So it's sequence in and out. And then for YouTube, you want to select H.264 as your preset. You may want to write this down too. That is the most internet friendly codec right now. And then if you're shooting, I think this is shot in 4K. So I'm not sure if you want to export in 4K 2160 or 1080p. But you'll see there's a YouTube preset here. So I would choose one of these depending on what you're asked to do. You know, YouTube can handle 4K. But for the purposes of demonstration, I'm just going to pick YouTube 1080p full HD. And then right here where there's output name, I like to rename it. So this is the end. And I'm just going to save it on my desktop. It saves as an MP4. And then you shouldn't have to, go through any of this. But it is good to double check the ratio, the size of the video here. If this says something like 720 by 480 or something smaller than 1920 by 1080, it's going to be a small video. It's not going to look good on the web. And so now you're ready. You can even see the estimated file size is 66 megabytes, which is pretty small for a video, but that's good. So I'm going to hit export. This comes up, takes it a couple of minutes. Looks like it's going to actually take a minute. So while that's running, any questions, or are you all able to get to this point? Yeah, okay. Once that's done, it just exists as a file. I'm sure anybody uploaded videos and things like that. Pretty straightforward. But what we can do is now we can open up the project that you downloaded and look at that after you've been working with the footage in Premiere. Now, if you look at the project that you've been given, so I'm going to go back over to that folder, and I think it is conventional coverage sequence 1.1. We double click and open that. Oh, I've got to update my Premiere. So, which I can do, but you all should have it there. And I would recommend opening that and looking through, and you don't have to worry, you're not gonna damage anything. You can just not save any changes, but you can go in and see text is this pink color, the video files are blue colors. Oh, we didn't talk about color correction. Let me do that. I've got a few more minutes left. Zoom out here. Okay, so I'm going to go up here to color and yeah, okay. So you can see as you drag the playhead across the video clip, you can actually see what's what. So this big line here, I'm assuming is probably the sky. All of this information here is the color information for these various, like the trees, the building. Like this is a hard edge here, so it's probably this. This looks like it's a tree. You can see the actor in this vector scope. You can sort of see the actor moving there. But what we want to do is, this was shot in sort of a flat profile, which is good because that gives us the dynamic range that we need to work with our highlights and shadows and retain the detail. That's why you you would want to shoot in this way. So I'm just going to do a little basic color correction here. I didn't see this yesterday, but I think I'm going to try to tell the computer that that little white section in the handicap parking is my white balance. So you can do that. You can pick up this little eyedropper and just work it into that section there. I may be able to zoom in. Let's see. I'm gonna zoom in just for this color correction. Okay, so pick up my eyedropper and tell the computer that's my white. And so it didn't change much from what it was shot, but you can see it pulled the blue out by about 4 points here and increased the greens by 1.5 points here. So that's just a good way to get a starting reference point. So I'm going to go back to fit. And you can see anytime you're doing this, you can always off and on it, and you can see it's subtle, but you can see the difference there. Now what we're going to do is work with black, whites, shadows, and highlights. I would recommend working with these as opposed to exposure and contrast, unless the image is truly under or overexposed. So what you're trying to do is keep your highlights and whites without going over this 255, and they were all shot in a way that they're not, but we can push them up there. And then the same with blacks and shadows. You keep them underneath 0 and within this range here between 0, 10, and 20. So let's pull the highlights up, and this also could be a personal preference. But I do want you to notice right here, and that may be this area, perhaps, what you'll notice, and we'll go too far with this. I'll pull this all the way into this area. And so you see what happens in this area? It just becomes a solid color or solid black part of the image. And so there's no detail in it. The same thing can happen with the white details, and they just become blown out, and they're just white blocks. And so you don't have any detail in those, and that's not what you want, unless there's some kind of specific storytelling reason that you want that, right? So let's pull these back to where they just are just above that 0 line. And I think there's a few touching. I think that's right there, and I'm okay with that. And then for the white areas, the highlights, I'm gonna push that up. And this part looks to be the brightest part of the image, and so I still want a little color in there. I still want a little detail, and so that's where I'm at right now with that. And the highlights, you should be able to adjust this without pushing the whites too far up. I'll pull that back a little bit, and you'll notice the image, it seemed a little gray in the beginning. As you do this, you'll notice the color starts to come back a little bit, because what you're doing is pushing all of the color information further and further apart, and so you get more range, you get more information over a broader range that you're working with in terms of the color. I'm going to pull my shadows down a little bit. There we go. And now, so we will turn the effect off. That's what we started with, and we'll turn it on, and that's where we're at. So that's a pretty, I mean, obviously color is like, you could take a whole class on color, but that's a good basic application. I'm going to move this over and do the same thing in here. I'm just going to do it quickly now, and I'm going to use this. I rarely edit and correct color without using these scopes. So let's see. Start with the highlights here. Bring the shadows down. Again, watch the floor mat. Yeah, so you can see really quickly you could start to lose some information. So we don't want it that dark. This up. Bring the highlights up even more. So we have it. There we go. It's down. I'm going to leave the shadows up because this interior space is not as brightly lit as the exterior. So if we bring the shadows down too far, even though they're still within that range, because we've got such, you know, a kind of a bright area behind, we kind of lose a little bit of the figure and where the action is. So I'm going to leave those up, and I'm actually going to bring the highlights down a little bit. There we go. I'm okay with that. That's where we started. That's where we're at. Okay, so let me just double check here. Transitions, in addition to the crossfade that you can add between video files. So if I hover here and hit Shift D, this becomes a crossfade, right? You probably wouldn't want to use anything other than a crossfade or a cut, but if you did, you could go into effects, video transitions. You could do what is that? A drug with the page peel drug commercial, something like that. Or a slide or a white. Got color correction. The size, you can also adjust the size of the image. So if, for example, I mean, it wouldn't make sense in this case, but just for example's sake, I'm going to double click this. If I wanted to focus in more on this area in this shot, I could actually move things around in post. You know, I didn't, let's say for whatever reason, we got a wide shot on the production day, but we wanted a tighter shot. So I could go to Effects Controls tab, and I could scale up the image. And then I could move the position around and begin to reframe it, you know, as if I was looking through a camera. And then you notice that the effects panel came on again for this clip. So. Okay. And I'm gonna undo that. So we've got our wide shot. Okay, any other questions at this point? And I'm going to stop sharing here. Were you able to open the other project file? Yeah, does it make sense? I have to update my Premiere to get into that project file, but so I can't share my screen with it, but any questions on that project file? I remember it from yesterday. No. Anything you're dying to know how to do on Premiere? I'm gonna break convention. It's all good. Okay. Well, I don't know if Rob is back. I didn't know if that was just an icon there. Oh, while we're waiting, we could talk about time and duration. I'll go back to share screen. So if there's ever a time where you want to change the rate at which the video clip was recorded, you can hit R for rate, and you see how my cursor changed to this red bracket with a black arrow. And now I can grab the end of the clip, shorten the clip. However, that's very different than just shortening the clip. So I hope this plays. Yeah. So you can see that the figure just is sped up, right? So here, if I do this, and I'm not hitting R, that's actually, that's the edit. That's how you would edit a clip, make a clip shorter or longer. But if I hit R for rate change, I can make a clip shorter, but I do it in a way that speeds up. All right, well, couldn't see it. But you could also do the same thing by making the clip longer and play slower. And then if we this up, we'll copy the audio. So immediately by slowing the clip down and dropping a piece of audio and some music in, you know, you can change. It feels different than if the music was faster and the rate had been changed faster. We could also reverse the clip. So if you right click on the clip and go to speed duration, you can change the speed here, but you could also reverse the speed so that it plays backwards. So it doesn't work the best over Zoom, but I hope you get the gist of that. So I think we've gone over everything on the paper here on the notes. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns?
You guys, this is a really good time to, if you're unsure about anything, ask Adam. And if there's anything you're curious or you'd like to learn how to do, ask Adam. I really want you guys to practice asking questions. So, and you can ask me too, but I don't want you to waste this time. So please take advantage of it. And if y'all could, I generally have people keep their cameras on. I appreciate you putting your cameras up now so that Adam can see you for the end of class. If you're there, if you're not there, then that's a different issue. Okay, anybody? So, oh, Jessica is here. So it's just Ed and Celia that are not here. Okay. Oh, Celia, you are here. I'll mark you back in attendance. Carrie, are you where? Oh, you're visiting. You're just visiting. That's awesome. Okay. Anyone, anything for Adam? You guys feel like you've mastered Premiere? I haven't. I can tell you that. Yeah, you know, actually, in fact, like last week, no, it was a few weeks ago, my brother, who's an animator, was like, hey, did you know you can select subject in Photoshop? Did you guys know this? It's like a new button and it picks out the person's face or their face and their body, like for you. Isn't that crazy? Like, I was like, holy smokes. I've spent so many hours like carefully selecting around people, and now you like press a button. Well, let's give Adam a round of applause. You can unmic yourself or unmute yourselves. Thank you, Adam, for helping us. Oh, that's my note about the. I thought someone had written a note. Okay, Adam, I think this is we've used up all your time. Is that right?
Yes, I've got to hop on another call, but you know, happy to answer questions or do this again sometime. So.
Okay, right on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Okay, so you guys, I have you until 2:30, right? I think the people that were present for class anyway, probably want to take a break now. Is that accurate? Would you like 10 minutes? If anyone has questions, oh, Ed, you're here. We were looking for you earlier. So it's 1:03. Shall we meet back at 1:15? Does that give you guys enough time? 12 minutes? More or less? Anybody? You're good with 1:15? We'll be back at 1:15 and I'll go through the work for next week and our plan for the next couple of weeks and whatnot, okay? Oh, before you go, I have just a question. How was Adam? Was he helpful, not so helpful? You thought he was good? Did anyone ask any questions? Did you guys ask any questions? Oh, Matt asked a question? Okay, good. Matt's my favorite student. No one else asked a question? So I want you guys to practice asking questions, okay? It's really helpful because you're going to become more powerful if you know more stuff, and you don't get any credit for being quiet and then not knowing stuff. Like I made a mistake for years and years of not asking questions because I was afraid people would think I was dumb, and it was a bad idea. So please, whether you do it today or not, like get used to asking questions, because I promise you, you'll do better and make more money and people will like you more. Okay, I'll see you at 1:15. Hi, you guys. Let's put our videos back. Okay, and we're going to go through our, let me get my notes up. Editing workshop. Assignment next week. Okay, so just, oh, you guys don't have that. Do people, how are you guys doing with your equipment? I think, is this the week that you need to show me your built rigs, or is that next week? Let's see. Okay, let's see. Part of the due this week was if you're in 107.3 to be marked here, you have to have your equipment with you and set up to show the class over Zoom. Do people, I see Matt has his rig. Excellent. And where's your sound? How are you doing sound? Oh, okay, you have the Rode. Yep, good. Have you done a test with it? Other people, I'd like to see your rigs.
I don't actually know how to figure out how it's, if it's not going through this or just like my phone audio.
It'll go through your phone through the, do you have an iPhone with a lightning plug?
I got this.
Okay, do you have, oh, you have the adapter. So do you have the cable to go from your microphone to your, yes, so you plug that into the back of the, perfect. And you plug that into the adapter and then into your phone. Now, did you guys not, I see Vico has hers. Do you other guys, you don't have your equipment that you're supposed to have? Yes.
I've ordered it through Amazon, but it haven't arrived yet. I'm so sorry, Professor.
Okay, Michael? You
I
had your
think
hand
for
up?
me, yeah, like also like I ordered it like online, but like for some reason packages like come here like always delayed, and sometimes they even get lost. It's like I don't know like what like yeah, I'm sorry about the inconvenience.
Okay, okay, so I'll tell you what, if you don't have your rigs, which a bunch of you don't, then email me your Amazon order with the equipment so that I know that you ordered the equipment, okay? It's a requirement of the class. Okay, Matt, so what you're gonna wanna do, Matt, and you guys have bounced around on the screen. Who was it that had equipment also? Was it Vico? No, yes. Okay, hi. You guys want to build your cameras. You don't have to do it right now, but you want to build your camera and test out the sound and see if it's working, maybe this afternoon or something like that. And the way to see if it's working through the Rode microphone is you tap the microphone with your finger and it'll make a big boop, boop, boop. Versus the phone, you know, if you tap the phone mic, it'll make a whop noise on that. Okay, so you other guys, if you you need to be working with the proper equipment. So I guess we'll keep our fingers crossed, and next week you'll have it, and we'll go through the equipment as a group next week. Okay. Okay, so aside from that, we have your photo Romans to look at, and it's very likely we're not going to look at them until next week, but they were due today at the start of class, just so you know, because we have a few other things to cover before the end of class. We might look at one of them or so. The two things we have to cover are, also there's a short film I wanted to show you. Let's see. Okay. One of your assignments for next week is to demonstrate to me that you have competency in classic coverage. Who knows what classic coverage is? Anybody? Did any of you guys take the film history class or film 101 or anything like that? Ed, did you?
I'm taking the history class right now.
Oh, okay. Who else? Celia, you didn't take it?
I take film 101, but our professor, I don't think the material is covered.
Okay, that's weird. But whatever. Okay, so 95% of the content that you watch is done with classic coverage. There's exceptions, and a lot of times there's a type of interest in filmmaking. It's not bad. That's about kind of stunt cinematography, like crazy shots, which is cool. And it is a great part of filmmaking. But most of the storytelling that happens in fiction and in documentary happens with classic coverage. For instance, what type of shot am I in? Can anyone say the common name for this shot?
Medium close up.
Yes. Who said that? Vico?
Yeah.
You made me happy. Yes, a medium close up. Michael, what is Ed in? What type of shot is he in? Michael, are you paying attention?
Oh wait, oh my god, my mic was mute.
Oh,
My mic actually has a mute button. So is it does it have to use like something with the rule of thirds, or is it something else?
no,
Or-
it's
oh.
it's actually much. It's the answer is much easier than that.
Oh,
Vico, what
okay.
did you say my shot was?
Medium
It was
close
a
up.
Wait, Michael, listen to Vico's answer about my shot. What's my shot?
Medium close up.
A medium close up. Michael, what do you think? If you were talking to your camera woman or cameraman and you needed a shot like Ed's, what would you tell the camera person you wanted?
close up.
Yeah, a close up.
Okay, yeah.
What's this? What do I have? Celia, do you want to guess at what I have?
Is it like how do you say, like a close up that is like more closer up, right?
Is it extreme?
Yeah, extreme angle.
Okay, extreme close up, ECU, MCU, CU, ECU. And those are film language is plastic and it changes a lot, and different people will have a different idea of what a medium close-up is or what a close-up is. So the footage that you were looking at that you downloaded, did you see a version of that film that had subtitles on it? Did they show that? Oh, okay. Those are all the shots that you need for. Can someone open up? I think in the folder that you downloaded, there's a movie called. It might be called. Well, it's probably called subtitled. Lahane subtitled. I can see Jessica's eating. I bet it's something delicious. I'm not going to call on her, but no, it's fine. It's fine for you guys to eat during class. Absolutely fine. Who can do this? Celia, do you mind? Can I ask you to share your screen and play that movie for us?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It has all the shots listed that you guys need to make for next week and edit together.
Wait, why I cannot share my screen?
Oh,
It's so weird.
does it say you're not allowed to share it?
It said like all of those things are like I cannot click like the windows that I'm going to show. Like it's really weird. Like it looks like
Are we sharing another screen? No.
no.
Ed, can you share your screen?
I can try.
I think I can share. I don't know.
Okay, let's try to well, we'll see if Ed can do it. Okay, perfect. Can you open the movie from the folder? I don't think it's in there, Ed. Maybe we should. Kendra, did you say you could try?
Yeah, I think I can try for that. Is this
Okay,
one?
it's the one Lahane with subtitles.
Oh, yeah. Actually, can you guys see my screen now? Because I think I'm playing it.
I think you have to play the screen that has, you have to select what you're going to play.
Oh, sorry.
It's
I
okay.
was
No,
going
it's
to
okay.
that.
No, I'm glad you're able to do this.
Oh, sorry. So can you guys see it now?
Yeah, and then pause when you see, okay, let's pause. So this is one of the shots you guys have to make. The one before it, an establishing shot. It's a shot of the building that the scene is taking place inside. So like I could put on that genetics laboratory, Sweden, 2070, right? I could have that be the subtitle. And what, you have any reason not to believe that? Well, if you were taking the class in person, you would know that that's the visual arts building at Emory. And so you'd be like, that is not the genetic laboratory in Sweden. But just in terms of the power of storytelling, visual storytelling, if I get told that, I'll believe it as long as I trust the filmmakers, their storytelling skills. Okay, so when you make your establishing shot, you can make any building be whatever building you want it to be. If it looks totally phony, your audience isn't going to trust you and the story won't work. But most of the time, the audience will buy it. Okay, let's play the next shot. Okay, let's freeze there. So a wide shot establishes the whole space. It gives the audience an understanding of geography for the scene. There's another thing to know about this. I'm glad you have the premiere project for this, because the reason the cut works from the wide shot to this shot is because she falls into it. She, in the wide shot, I'm sorry, in the establishing shot, she's taking a step up, her shoulders going up. And in this shot, her foot is coming down. And our eyes track motion and it tricks our brain. So we don't notice the cut. The classic coverage is sometimes called seamless or invisible editing. It's a bunch of card tricks, visual tricks to make the audience not notice that editing is taking place. So that you just kind of like, sort of like a dream, kind of fall into the story. Sometimes editing is made to be seen and sometimes it's made to be invisible. And cutting on motion is a way to make the audience not notice the cut. So again, a wide shot is to establish the geography. Who haven't I called on recently? Jessica, I know you're eating, but I want to ask you a question. What type of scene would you not want to establish geography in? Can you think of if you're telling a story, when in a story would you not want the audience to know the space that the scene is taking place in?
Like, I guess like if they wanted to like leave more suspense of like where they were.
Okay, so when you want the audience to say to themselves, where is she? Where is he?
Mhm.
Matt, you had your hand up. Were you thinking of something?
I'm gonna say like a horror where we want like jump scares or something, so that they don't.
Okay,
they
like-
don't know.
Like where are we? I have no idea where we are. Now, is that a better way to start a scene, or is where are we? I have no idea where we are. So there's plenty of other reasons, times when you might want to do that. You might want to do that in a car commercial. You know, someone's face and they're like, what is this? This is the most amazing thing I have ever seen. You know, and it's just on their face. And then like you reveal it's a Lexus or whatever freaking car you care about. So there's other places where that tool can be used. But in general, the most common thing to do is to have a wide shot. And a wide shot lets the audience know this is the space we're in. It's this type of space. This person's here, that person's there. Let's go to the next shot. Okay, let's freeze there. Now, we cut from the wide shot to the two shot. Did anyone notice anything about the cut point? Why did we cut where we did? Does anyone know what a jump cut is? I thought I saw someone nod. Who nodded?
Oh, wait, is it like it breaks like a rule called 180-degree rule?
You're so close, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. And that's another part of the class today. It's a great thing to bring up. It has the same quality for the audience as jumping the line. It has a similar quality to jumping the line, but what it is jumping time. A jump cut jumps like someone's here, and then you cut and they're over here because you cut out the footage in the middle. So this, when we cut from the wide shot to the two shot, we did the opposite of that. Actually, we made a fluid cut. So the cut point is this. Cut, next shot. Does that make sense? So you might try that this week, is have a character sit down in your wide shot and in your two shot and try to find the best cut point between them. Usually there's you lose 1 or 2 frames. So the person literally visually, there's like a tiny because we watch them getting to sit down the wide shot, and then we go to the close shot and they're like, you know, we cut like a little tiny bit out. But I would encourage you guys to play with it. It's literally like a card trick where, has anyone ever been to, there used to be at Times Square, there were these guys who played 3-card Monte, and they would like trick people into giving them money, betting money that they were going to lose. It's like that, except you don't lose any money. It's a card trick. It's literally a visual trick. Like, look at this over here, my hand's over there, you know? Okay, so this is a 2-shot. It might be called a full shot. Also, a full shot covers the whole subject from head to toe. If you were requesting a 2-shot, this is what you would get. Let's keep playing. Okay, let's freeze. These are over the shoulder shots, and there's something important about them. These shots and close-ups need to match. The eye lines need to match. Michael, can you talk a little bit about that? What does that mean? Eye lines match.
Like kind of like where like the male person's like eyes or like glasses like are like, it seems like it's connected to like, or parallel to where the woman's eyes are also. So it kind of like shows like they're like interacting with each other. It's an easy way.
Okay, and the easy way to know how to do this is to put a clock, like an imaginary clock, around the frame. And by the way, people's faces are not symmetrical. They're a lot weirder than we think they are. And the right and the left sides look different. Did you ever like take a mirror and like look at your face? And anyway, if you're weird, you've done that. Okay, so if we look at her right eye, I would say her right eye is aimed at 230, 245. Do you figure? So where should his eyes be aimed? Say it was 3. Say her eye is looking at 3 o'clock on the clock that's around the frame. Whoop, I can't do it. Circling the frame, there's a clock. If she's
9.
9, who said 9? Oh, awesome, Matt. Yes. Well, let's see if that's right. So that would be the exact opposite, right? Let's take a look at where he's looking. About 9 o'clock, right? Does that make sense to you guys? So if I'm talking to someone down here, hey, are you okay down there? Where are my, it's hard for me to do. Where are my eyes looking?
Probably
Are
like
you okay
7,
down there?
probably about like 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. So the person who I cut to down below, where should they be looking?
1,
Awkward, like,
11.
1 to 2.
Yeah, yes. Okay, makes sense. So that's another thing you'll need to practice this week. Is matching eye lines. And by the way, remember when we were talking about how you're all already experts on visual media and you can tell in 5 seconds what type of show you're watching? One of the ways you can tell is that if they have a bunch of different size close-ups and over the shoulders, they spent more money on the show. It's a higher production show. Typically on a commercial production, it takes about 20 minutes to do a setup. So if you don't have a lot of time to shoot, you might do a wide shot and then 2 close-ups, and that's an hour of filming. If you do a wide shot, 2 over the shoulders and 2 close-ups, that's an hour and 40 minutes of filming. There's 12 hours in a day, maybe, that you can shoot. So like a fancy production is going to do a lot of coverage, and a less fancy production, not so much. And so when you're watching it, you can tell, oh, this is probably not very fancy. They don't have a lot of coverage. It's possible to make better rhythms with more coverage, for the editor to make better rhythms in terms of the dance choreography of, an editing rhythm. Okay, let's keep playing. Okay, and this is a close-up. We talked a little bit about them. And then again, we have, oh, by the way, this is another thing about close-ups. With your iPhones, unless you got some, lens adapters, it won't be as big an issue, but what does this one do? I have no idea. Not much, huh? It's probably a color corrector. I don't know what it's doing. In any case, you don't have to worry about matching focal length, but if you had a regular camera with different lenses or a zoom lens, you want to, from one person's close-up to the next, match the focal length, have them be the same focal length. You want to really match as much as you can, and you want to match the distance to the camera for each of the close-ups. And you want to match the person's size in frame. Like if it's if this is one person's close-up and this is the other person's close-up, it'll be a little weird for the audience. It'll bump a little bit. So you generally want audience close-ups and over the shoulders to be the same size. That would be the normal thing to do. And you can do things that are not normal. It's just you need to do enough normal stuff so people know that you made a choice not to be normal and you're not just incompetent. Does that make sense? Like it's tempting, especially for new filmmakers or students, to be like, I'm going to do everything weird, and then it becomes just a mess. Like the audience doesn't know that you're trying to be weird. So you need to be smart about doing that, and you can do like really strange things. I think in our syllabus there's an example from Batman that we'll look at in a moment. Okay, let's go to the next shot. Thank you for doing this, by the way. Okay, and it looks a little tighter than hers, doesn't it? Oh, he's leaned forward. I think that's what's happened. I think his shot is a little bit bigger than hers, but I think he may have gone forward, which would change his size. Okay, let's keep playing. Okay, let's freeze there. So in storytelling, visual storytelling, what's that over there? When I say that, what do you want to see next? Who shall I ask? Vico, what would you want to see next? What's that over there?
The thing the person's staring.
The thing that I'm looking at? Yeah, so we talked a little bit about babies looking in their mother's eyes, and the eyes being the window on the soul. And when we watch people, we watch their eyes. Have you ever had this very troubling thing happen that I've suffered, where you're with your partner and someone really attractive walks by and they look at them and you see their eyes looking at them and you're like, oh. Anyway, I've had a troubled life. No, so like we look at people's eyes and we look at where they're looking, and we do that in visual storytelling as well. Actually, that doesn't particularly bother me, but I just wanted to give that as an example. You guys get that? So, and that this shot, point of view, that's the shot. That's the shot that is the thing that the person's looking at. So anytime you have a point of view, there's a shot that goes right before it. Kendra, what's the shot that goes right before a point of view?
It should be like a close-up of the person who's looking at the thing.
Yeah, and it could be a close-up, it could be a medium close-up. It can be, we just want, it's shots, you want them to be about content you want to communicate to the audience. So whether it's an extreme close-up, a regular close-up, a medium close-up, or a medium shot, it has to tell the audience, this person who I'm interested in is looking at something. That's what it has to communicate. An extreme close-up would be like, whoa, this person's looking at that thing. I need to see it, you know. A medium shot might be a more casual, like, you know, it's not as serious for them. I mean, it's not a mistake that an extreme close-up is called an extreme close-up because it shocks the audience to get that close to someone's face, you know. Okay, let's go to our last shot. Okay, so this is a title shot. Did Professor Forrester show you guys how to make titles in Premiere? Okay, and we have a recording. We're recording, so you can review that there. You can also Google. If you Google Premiere make title, it'll tell you. You could also just click the up at the top where it has the different flavors of Premiere desktops. You could click the one for graphics, I think, and figure it out yourself. And you can also email me and I can talk you through it. So those are the shots that you need to put together for next week. And I sometimes tell people, and I will tell you guys, if anyone's highly motivated, I'll give you extra credit if you shoot the whole thing yourself with you playing both people. But that involves some visual effects work that you may not be prepared to do. And you certainly don't need to do in this course, but some students have done it before. In any case, does anyone have questions about the shooting part of the work for next week?
I have a question. I did the assignment last week, but like, is there any place, I just like remembered that we had an assignment. Is there any place that the assignments are written down?
Yes, in the syllabus, there's a schedule of all the work each week. And it literally, there's a part for each day. We're on day 3 now. And if you go through that at the bottom, it will say due.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and oh yeah, Kendra.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because I'm in the in-person section, so I saw actually like shooting partners, but like I was absent because of my like illness.
We're not doing partners this time. So you're all right.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions about this? Does it make sense how to do it? And you all have this Premiere project. So, I mean, if I was one way to do this, I don't know that it's the best way, is just to make your shots look about the size of the ones in the project and then make another video channel and put your shots on top of those ones. And that's a way to do it. Yeah, Vico.
Do your shots need to have a storyline or just like?
Okay, so yeah, I this is what I think is all I want to do is have you show competency in assembling in classic coverage. So they don't need to have a storyline. This one, it's very questionable if it has a storyline, the one that we showed today. If you make a storyline, that's great. And that's kind of, if you're in this class, I think you're probably a little interested in doing that. You certainly don't need to. It might be fun to have someone sit down and say, I really want to kill you. And then have the next person say, why, I love you, you know, and then let your friends or the actors you work with, whoever, go a little bit with that. But you don't need to do that. But you can make any story you want. I want you to master this style of editing and shooting. Yeah. Anyone, any other questions? Okay, I want to show you, let's see, I'm gonna take back the screen and go to our syllabus, and I'm gonna share screen. Yes, share. Okay, can you guys see my screen? It's our syllabus. And Ed, just so you see it, part of the syllabus is literally this thing, day, class, and then it'll have due and show you what's due. Now we're going to go down to the additional items because I want to show you something about those close-ups. Normally, when people are talking to each other, you make some space. You make some space. Their distances are matched and their space in the screen is matched. We try to balance the frames. Now, this is Batman, and they haven't balanced the frame between the two shots. Michael, can you talk to me about why? Have you seen this scene in the movie? Okay, cool. Now, this is the wrong way to photograph these things. According to classic coverage, it's the wrong way to photograph them because they're supposed to be balanced. Did it bother you that they were unbalanced?
Not really, because I was just pretty like immersed in the film. So
Okay, here's the thing though. Is the Joker unbalanced mentally?
yes.
Okay. How do you feel about having people really close to you?
Uncomfortable.
Does it make you uncomfortable when I do this? A
If it
little
was
bit.
yeah, sure, maybe. You get what I mean.
Yeah. So does it make sense for the audience to experience this particular scene in this story for Batman to have a conventional close-up, but the Joker's close-up to be really close?
Mhm.
And for the space to be in front of him for the space to be behind him instead of in front of him? So we can do things. So it literally, it was to make the audience feel uncomfortable. The change from normal was done and we feel uncomfortable because of that. And that instead of us thinking, oh, these filmmakers screwed this up, we think, I don't like that guy being so close to Batman. We take the feeling, and this happens with jump cuts too, and crossing the line, is sometimes the discomfort from the filmmaking feeds the story, informs the story. But you need to establish that you are doing, you understand how to communicate the language in a normal setting in order for the audience to be shocked in the awkward setting. Okay, so I showed you that. We're gonna run out of time. Okay, the next thing I wanted to show you is the other part of your assignment for next week. Now, the week after next week, well, I'll tell you a little bit about class next week. So we're gonna go through everyone's photo Romans, and we're gonna practice critiquing. And again, it's very hard to receive critique. It hurts me when people tell me what's wrong with my work. It's, so you have to be very gentle with me. And I'm going to assume that you guys, yes, Ed.
Question with the full photo Romans we submitted. You said we could make them fictional stories.
Yes.
Right. And I didn't know how to make mine fictional without using pictures that I didn't take myself personally. Is that fine?
Yes, you can use those pictures, but I want you to take some pictures yourself. So we can.
I put one picture in myself, but.
Okay. And we'll see more, I guess, next week with the conventional coverage of your photography style too. So you're all right. Ideally, I would have wanted a few more pictures that you took, but it's okay. You're good. Okay. So where was I? We were talking about, so next week we're going to go through the critiquing. I want to see all of you practice giving each other feedback that they can hear. You want to be gentle enough with them that they can hear it, but you want to be clear and honest so they can improve their work. Like if you just tell them you like it and they're a good person, that's not going to make their work better. Although sometimes we need that. Okay, so anyway, and then the next part of class will be, you guys are going to pitch projects to make in a group. And I can't remember, I think there's usually 8 people in this class. Is that it, or is it 7? In any case, we're going to break into 2 groups, and you guys are next week going to spend, your homework is going to be making a film in your group. And because this class is remote, you're going to have to figure out how to make a film where not everyone is able to be in physical contact with each other. And we made these during COVID when no one was on campus, and it worked out actually very well. So you're just going to have to be smart about what you can make that way. Now, I'm curious, are there people that are on campus that would want to make, might want to be in physical contact with other people next week? Okay, so 5, 6, and Vico, you're not in the class, right? Everyone's on campus.
I was not.
What's that?
I was not on campus.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I'm not on campus.
Oh, Vico's not on campus. Okay. Okay, well, so, okay, so I think what we should consider, well, the way this is going to work is you're all going to write a pitch for a movie that can be done in a week with the people that you're seeing on the Zoom screen. And then you can hire actors from outside, or, you know, you can get help outside, but it's the principal authors of the work are the people in your classmates. We're going to break into 2 groups. So you're going to write proposals for either documentary or fiction works. And then next week, you're going to pitch your proposal. You're going to pitch your proposal. And then I'm going to give you guys some time to talk amongst yourselves about how you want to break up the groups. And Vico, you might do writing, you might do editing, you might do second unit footage if they need footage. Where are you based now?
Do you mean where I am?
Yeah.
I'm in China.
So that would be kind of awesome to have something that's taking place at Emory, and then they communicate with like a character in China, and there's like a China unit. That would be like Mission Impossible or something. So there's ways to do that, you know. There's ways for everyone to be involved. And that's just one, you know, way, is to have like a China unit in a story. But now you all know that you can write a proposal if you want that has a section in China, you know, which you could also do by taking a shot of the visual arts building and saying that it's China, I suppose. But it's like the reason people go to exotic locations is to get like stuff that really establishes that they're there, you know. Okay, so you may ask, how will I make this proposal? And I'm going to show you now an example of one that is good. Let's see. If we go to, let's see, course schedule, week 3. Okay, if you go to week 3, the lecture that we're having now, there's a thing called a sample pitch document in the syllabus. If you click on that and open it, and I'll share screen also, you'll see a sample of a good proposal. Now you can make your proposal for next week in an Adobe PDF. You can make it as a PowerPoint, however you want to do it. But these are the components that you should have. You want to pull a lot of pictures. This one's for a music video. And you're just pulling pictures from the internet. You're not like, you haven't made the project yet. And you want to have 2 written sections. And one is the treatment, which is the story. It's not how you're making the film, what it's going to look like. It's not, you know, the type of performances. It's not the type of camera work. It's only the story. It's like if your grandpa was telling you a story, that's what the treatment is. And minimum 1-page double spaced, the story of your film. And the second part is the technique and production details, or visual style statement. And that's the actual movie. It's not the story. It's, you know, we're going to have 2 very slick, fast talking characters. I'm going to cast them using Actors Access in Atlanta, if you want to do that. I'm going to use an iPhone, and I'm going to, it's going to be shot on a tripod and an iPhone, and it's going to look very formal, like a Wes Anderson film. I want the light to be like this. Now, you see, Scarlett Johansson is not going to be in their music video, but they have reference, color, texture, light quality. So they're describing the type of colors that they want, and they're describing the light, which is big, soft light from one side with shadow. And they're talking about the type of textures like fur and this type of like heavily sequined worked clothing, tassels, velvet. This is, I think this is Philip Glass, I'm not sure. But they're not going to have Philip Glass in their music video. They're just doing a similar, like if you look, this shadow here and that light there, and he has this light here and that shadow there. It's a little more shadowy, but they're describing the type of lighting that they want. So you pull images to describe what your movie is going to look like and feel like. And maybe you might pull from other movies too, if there's like references, film references that you like. And you're going to write a little bit about the story and write a little bit about the style. And then each of you is going to pitch those to the class next week. And then you're going to hang out together and talk about, hey, what makes sense to do? What can we, you know, Celia might be like, hey, I like Michael's. I want to work with Michael. I also want to work with Vico. So I'm wondering if we can find a way to have a Chinese unit in the project, or, you know, and you'll find a way to make 2 groups. And then we'll give you guys time. And I'm always disappointed by this because students like hanging out and talking with each other more than me, but I'll give you guys time to hang out together and talk about your projects. Okay. And then you'll spend the week making them. Any questions about that part of the homework? It's called Rob Fest because it's a festival of films that you make for me. Well, 2 films. Everyone's good? Jessica, you good?
I'm sorry, Rob. I just got one more question. Like,
Yeah, Kendra,
so
no,
we can.
you never have to be sorry about asking questions. I love it.
I'm thinking like we're focusing on 2 genres, like fiction or like documentary, right? For the proposals.
You know, what I wanted to do is make clear that you could make either.
Oh, like both of them? Like
No, just one. You write one. But for instance, what are you more curious about, making documentaries or making fiction films?
Yeah, personally, I'm like more interested in fiction ones.
Then you should write a fiction one.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and write one that you that you know you believe can get made in a week with these slobs working for you.
Sure. Thank you.
Matt's the only one that noticed that. Jessica's laughing too, smiling too. Okay. Okay, so that's what the goal is not only to write something cool, but something cool and doable. Okay. And then the week after that, we'll look at them together. Each group will critique the other group. Okay, so that is the homework for next week. Plus, you guys are gonna, if you don't have your equipment, you're going to get your equipment together, and you're gonna let me know that you've ordered it. You don't worry about sending me the Amazon order. Just have it together for next week so I can see it. Okay. Okay. The next thing I want to do is show you guys a video on, actually it is on the 180-degree rule. Is this the one? Let's see. Okay, and we're going to try to watch it and watch together. No, hold on. I lost. There's my video. No, not the panda or llama or whatever it is. Okay, give me a second, you guys. I'm old. These things take time. Stop screen sharing. Okay, then I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna copy it. Copy. I'm gonna go to watch together. I'm gonna put it in the search. Stop. Help me. Okay, we're going to that. We're going to pause it. I'm going to give you guys the watch together link. Oh, and Michael was asking about the Photoshop, the select subject. So there's a cool thing in, if you have Photoshop open, I think if you go to help and you type select subject, I think it'll just show you where it is. And it's in the, if you go to the selection workspace, it's a button in the center top, or at least it was in the version that I had. But if you get more, it's super awesome. But if you get more, if you have trouble with it, I'll help you later, okay? Okay, are we all on watch together now? Give me a thumbs up if you're there. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself and we're gonna play this.
Are we in a different watch together? It's like I'm watching a llama cartoon that already ended. You're muted. You're muted.
Matt, did you say you're watching the llama thing?
Yeah.
Damn it. Why is it, is anyone watching the 180-degree rule?
I've watched the
No?
llama twice.
How is that possible? I'm watching it.
It says that there's 4 people here and no, now you're here. Yeah.
Okay. Is the screen, does it now say Campus Movie Fest?
Yeah.
Does it say it for everybody? Vico?
It's still loading. Okay, I see it.
Ed, yours says Campus Movie Fest? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna assume that everyone has it and mute myself.
Wait, Professor, sorry, I still cannot see it. Professor, you're muted.
Are you in watch together?
Yeah, watch together, but like the page layout is really weird. Like it says like Grand Dilemma, like it's not about 180 degrees rule. It's
Okay,
like
this is what I think. I think we're not going to use watch together maybe any more, but that makes me a little sad because we can't do it synchronously. I'm going to put the direct link up to the YouTube and okay, I want everyone to just hit that link and play it themselves, and I'll join you guys Okay, does it make sense? It actually, it shouldn't be called the 180-degree rule. It should be called the 179-degree rule, because you don't want to be on the line. You want to be to the side of the line. So you pick a side, and having two people at a table it seems very simple. And in that case, it is pretty simple, right? The line goes through their two heads, and then you stay on one side of it. And if you do that, one of them will always be on the right and one of them will always be on the left. Does that make sense? It can get super confusing, but it can get super confusing, but that particular situation is not so confusing. So it's a good place to start. Let me think. Kendra, does it make sense to you? Well, here's
Yeah, it really makes sense because I was eating. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. You're welcome to eat, but I just wanted to make sure it makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen because I want to show you something. Share, and this is going to not make sense. Well, let me see. Where's a good one? There's someone over here that I liked.
So, what'd you call?
Okay, can you guys see the can you guys see YouTube, the YouTube screen I have shared? Okay, so Jessica, not to make you uncomfortable, but just to help you grow, what's the axis of action? What's the 180-degree, what's the line in this shot? The director's line, axis of action. Oh, unmute yourself.
Wait, like, what do you mean by that?
What's the video about?
It's about them like breaking the 180-degree rule.
Okay, and what is the 180-degree rule here?
So because we're like looking at the characters, like looking at each other right now, like we don't want to go on the other side, like because right now, like the one guy's on the left and then the guy with the red hat is like on the right, and like we want to keep that consistent throughout the video.
And we do that by doing what?
Ensuring that the camera stays on this side of them.
This side of them? Yes. Okay. Okay, good. You did good. Okay, let me think. Celia, now I have something that will be it messes with my head, but it may not mess with yours. See the woman in the middle? Ed, you see her?
Yeah.
Okay, what if she says to the guy in the red hat, hey, that's not where the axis of action is. So when she says that, where do we shoot his close-up from when she's talking to him?
So like when the woman is talking to the man with the red hat, the camera should be like on one side of like the woman and the man.
But that's the other side of the line.
Oh, so you still need to keep like the man on the left side in the frame, right?
Man on the left side. No. For the close-up, in classic coverage, we would do over the shoulders and close-ups for anyone that speaks to anyone else, right?
Yeah.
And Jessica was just saying that the line is between the two guys' heads.
Yeah.
But when she speaks to the guy with the red hat, the line moves.
Yeah.
But it won't, if we use his close-up from her position, it'll be on the wrong side for the guy, the guy that doesn't have a hat.
Oh, got it. So maybe we need to take the close up of the man, like how do you say it? Still like on the side before, but from from right to like to shoot he is like here.
That would look weird. I think that would look weird. So
Mind blowing. Okay.
no. It's just, this is super hard and super confusing. And here's the thing is, like, to do this properly, you do 2 sets of close-ups for every person in the scene. Remember how we said, so for the guy in the red hat, you do a close-up from the other guy's right shoulder, and you also do a close-up from the woman's right shoulder. 2 close-ups of the same performance, depending on who he's talking to. And for each of the 3 people, you do that. That's the way you don't have anyone jump the line. And it's a nightmare. I mean, just in terms of, we were talking about it taking 20 minutes of setup, now you're shooting 6 close-ups instead of 3. You've doubled your production time. So you want to try to find other ways to do coverage for a scene like this that don't involve that. There's a very famous movie, 12 Angry Men. 12 Angry Men. Does anyone know what that movie is? Matt, what happens in that movie? There's a table.
Yeah, they're like a jury, and they argue over the case, and there's one guy that's against the other 11, and then he convinces all of them to like switch sides except for one guy.
For an editor, what that is that's a nightmare, is what that is. It's not 3 people around a table, it's 12 people around a table. So theoretically, to make the eye lines match, for every person, you have to shoot 12 different close-ups. It's a nightmare. 12 people, that's like 144 close-ups, you know? Is that right? I'm not good at math, but it's a nightmare. What it is a nightmare. There is a guy, Aram Avakian, who they cut that movie in New York. No editor in New York would cut the movie because it was a nightmare. And Aram was a young editor, and he took the job, and he got the Academy Award for it. Because it's a great movie. It's a great movie. The eye lines don't always match, but so I I just wanted you to start to think about axis of action and just be aware of it as one of the issues in filmmaking. But if you just have 2 people in a scene and they're not walking around, you can keep your axis of action. It's easy to understand it. And if you ever get confused, you just think about, if one person's on the right of the screen and one person's on the left, you want to just make sure that whatever your shot is, they stay that way, with the same person on the right and the same person on the left. Does that make sense? Okay, it is 2:17. The last thing that I want to do is, I wanted to show you guys a film. Okay, so one of the things I've talked about is that you want, or we've talked about, is that you want to have the reasons. Let me think. Celia, you want to go to a movie with me? Say yes.
Yes.
Or actually, don't say yes. What would you say if you weren't sure?
Maybe.
Okay, well, that's true. That is what you'd say. What would your mom, if you asked your mom to go to the movies, to go to a movie, the movie Ricky's Done, what would your mom say? Celia, I'll do it this way. Celia, do you want to go to the movie Ricky's Done with me?
Sorry, what's the movie is about?
Oh, right. That's right. That's the very first thing a filmmaker needs to do, is have it about something interesting. So if I want Celia to go to the movie with me, Ricky's Done needs to be about something that she wants to go to the movie for, right? So you ask me, what's it about? Well, it's about everything that you're interested in and is important to you. What's the next question you ask?
Well, which kinds of, aspects that you would think I'm interested in?
Okay, I set myself up for failure there. If you were interested in the movie, if you were interested in what it's about, and you're gonna schlep to a movie theater with me to go see this thing, what's the next thing you'd want to know about it? Ricky's Done.
Maybe some like basic info about the movie, and also
What's
like
the most basic info besides the story?
date,
What's that?
like the date of the film is on.
Oh, okay. I'm this isn't working out for me. Matt, you want to go to Ricky's Done, right?
Director.
Who's the director? Matt's a sophisticated person. He wants to know who the director is. Now, what do most people want to know if a movie sounds good?
The actor?
Yeah, people want, who's in it? Really, who's in it?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate them. I'm not going to go. I like them. I want to go. I want to sleep with them. I want to go. Like that kind of thing. Okay, so the things that are important for media are what's it about? Is it about something I'm interested in, and who is in it? Now, for you guys, you don't have the ability to hire Jennifer Lawrence to be in your film at this point. So you need to find subjects that are people that are interesting for some other reason besides that they're already a movie star. Okay, so having said that, I'm going to put this movie, I think I'm just going to give you guys the link to it. And then I'll grab you in the last minute of class. I think it's 12 minutes long. It's 12 minutes long. Maybe I'll let you guys go and we'll watch it next week, okay? You guys would rather have your weekend than 12 minutes of watching a short film with me, I think, which is fine. I understand. It's more important to me than it is to you. We'll do it next week. You guys have a wonderful